Rated T for Teen.
Each year, thousands of adults lose their shred. It's an epidemic simply known as shred loss. But it doesn't have to be this way. Because rekindling your shred is as easy as playing the new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. And with new parks, cross-platform multiplayer, and sick new game modes, we can put an end to shred loss everywhere. Get the new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 and show the world that the shred's not dead. Pre-order Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 and play the Foundry demo.
At Sierra, you'll always find apparel, footwear, and gear for 20 to 60% less than department and specialty store prices. But right now, it's clearance time, so you can save even more on everything you need to get active and outside. Visit your local Sierra store today.
Unfiltered discussions, unexpected guests. No topic is off limits, from sex and relationships to the human condition, personal anxieties, and so much more. The only talk show of its kind in the world. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Hello and welcome to you and happy Tuesday evening. On tonight's program, we are going to learn about a mysterious metal sphere that crashed in the country of Colombia, and it sparked wild theories about aliens and hidden technologies. It's all known as the Buga sphere. It's captivated scientists, UFOologists, believers, and skeptics like me alike. Now, is this strange object an extraterrestrial artifact, or, as I'll make the argument, just space junk? Whatever it is, it's a strange, swirling mystery, and we'll dig into details in about 10 minutes' time. Then, are you being secretly nudged by artificial intelligence every time you scroll on a social media feed? And if so, how do you feel about it? I ask because new research reveals that your feelings on AI, whether you like it or not, could be quietly shaping how you engage with social media. Halfway through the hour, we'll find out just how much control you have over the robots and whether they can cause you to be addicted to social media. Those are just some of the things you'll learn on tonight's program, but for now, let's dive in.
Want to be part of The Last Show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
And in drones whizzing over prisons in the UK and dropping kilos of drugs and knives straight out of zombie movies news, we are joined by foreign correspondent Tony Five to talk about a story that involves all the things I just said. Tony, welcome in.
David, my friend, what a world to live in. And coincidentally, it is Prime Day. Amazon are out of control, my friend. They are out of control, my friend. I mean...
Can you Amazon Prime drugs and swords into prisons in the UK, or is this just a coincidence?
I believe that today being Prime Day is just a coincidence. But yeah, it's a massive problem that drones are basically just flying over these walls and dropping all sorts of things. So from zombie knives, which you mentioned, I don't know whether you have it over there, but they're like replica prop knives, but that are like knives, and so you just sharpen them. They look like evil things. They're like from horror films and so on, and they have them.
Yeah, it looks like a Klingon bat'leth. I know, I'm a big nerd. You know, the thing Worf carries to like slash up alien enemies.
Right, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's the Worf sword. Everybody knows something from Star Trek that looks just evil. There's absolutely no... You can't carry it and say, well, I was using it to job. Maybe I'm going to dinner and I want to bring my own cutlery. It's not like that sort of knife that you can kind of get away with.
And so prisons, like I'm looking at one in Manchester here, they have an open court. I mean, obviously there's like chain link fence or brick walls, or they've got the towers to prevent the prisoners from escaping. But how do they avoid drones from just casually zipping over the prison and dropping illegal cargo for the prisoners to have?
So what they used to do is above these like canopies, they would have netting, right? So the drones would just fall in or whatever. They have counter surveillance and countermeasure drones. So what they do is they can go up and sort of meet them and destroy them, or electronic sort of like guns, sonar guns that just disable the radio signals. I've worked on them. They're very expensive. You have to have kind of line of sight. Yeah, it's like a computer game, right? So it's just zipping away.
I saw a video of like these papal officers at the Pope for the conclave.
At the Pope's funeral, yes!
Yeah, and for the Pope's funeral, these are like Pope, SWAT team, and they've got these bizarre looking cannons. They look like almost bazookas.
Bazookas. In Amsterdam, there were some problems, and they used to train birds of prey to take out these drones. Some of these videos you can see online are wild. These drones going up and ripping apart these birds going up, ripping up these drones. It's fantastic, and I can just see it getting better with like Just Eats, Uber Eats, Deliveroo.
Yeah.
It is just insane at the moment.
Back to these bazookas. They aren't bazookas. They're like, drone jammers, like you were saying. And to watch someone at the Vatican with a drone jammer just made me really feel like we're in 2025. That is not a device from the past. That is today.
I mean, it's sad that I can order pet food for Frank tomorrow, but a prisoner can get a zombie knife quicker.
All right, well, let's go back to this story. Okay, so these drones are dropping things. I guess there isn't enough netting, or prisons, I don't know, like how are they trying to prevent it? Or I guess they're not.
Well, they're not, because it's a massive problem, because in all seriousness, like prisons in the UK have got a serious problem with drugs. So there's obviously contraband, like the big things that the news story sort of highlights is like the zombie knives, the weapons, and other things like that. But it's stuff like mobile phones, right? Really small things so that people can get a phone inside and they can still organize their crime from inside behind prison walls. There's all sorts of things. It's like really strange. But the drugs, because obviously drugs works as, it's not only contraband, but it's a form of payment and kind of like a cash alternative in a prison, right?
Yeah. And in places like Colombia, where I guess they don't have these kind of drones yet, they're training pigeons to drop little drug baggies into open air, courtyards in prisons.
Yeah.
I guess this has always been a problem, but with drones, it just becomes so much easier.
Yeah, it's so this is an age-old problem, right? There's a problem, people find solutions, right? So training a pigeon is amazing, right? To send in your drugs over. But then what if they create a union, David? And like, we're not going to do this. Like, the value of us is not, and they get together and strike.
Yeah, and they're like, we don't want Wonder Bread as payment. We want the finest French sourdough, or otherwise we're not going to deliver your drugs into the prison yard.
I think this is the definition of bird strike.
Well done, well done.
Thank you, my friend. I'm
done.
here all week trying to fish.
Is it that good a pun, though? Bird strike, that's when a plane hits a bird, right?
It's technically a bird hitting a plane. You'd be a very good pilot for you to be flying the plane, hitting a pigeon.
They hit each other, fine. What are like the UK prison officials going to do about this problem? Or are they just flagging it and I guess doing what all government officials are doing, asking for more money?
Yeah, asking for more money, obviously, because there's not even like enough prison guards at the moment. So like a lot of these guys are in like 2-3 to a cell, and it's just very difficult. The conditions are really bad at the moment. So I think netting is the cheapest, easiest option just to stop things going through. Again, like you can go all extreme, get the bazookas out, get the post guys out there and just stand outside the UK prison, blasting them down. Our pigeons are quite belligerent. If you've ever been to Trafalgar Square, they don't want to play ball, David. In fact, they'd probably go back and give more stuff.
I grew up in the Northeast in Toronto, and the seagulls in Toronto by Lake Ontario are like kind of sickly.
Yeah.
They're not that impressive. And then I
Really?
moved to California, to the West Coast, to San Francisco. Those California seagulls are built like tanks. These are not like Northeastern, ready to die, weak. These things are strong. And what they've done is when they congregate at airports, they can basically cause plane crashes.
Yes.
That's what happened to that plane that had to be put down in the Hudson River here in New York.
Yes. Yes.
So in some airports, they've trained birds of prey just to hang around and scare the seagulls and pigeons away from the tarmac. My question is, could you train a bird of prey, like a falcon or something, to take down a drug-muling prison drone?
Yes, absolutely. They do it in Holland. This is currently one of the things they do. They've trained a bird of prey. I'm sure it's in the Netherlands, if I remember rightly, to take out drones. I can't remember it. It's a story that's sitting in the back of my memory somewhere, but I have definitely read it, that it's gone out to do it. I'm more worried about sort of the idiot that trains a chicken.
To take down a drone?
Absolutely. It's just this poor chicken is jumping up and down, going absolutely mental for the drone and just can't do anything and then lays an egg.
And then, you didn't take down the drone properly, but at least you've got delicious eggs. I'm looking up this story. You're absolutely right. For the first time since, I don't know, I've known you.
David, you always doubt my foreign correspondent ability. Now, corresponding, that was a story, and it is foreign, my friend. I have fulfilled the brief, my friend. There it is.
I'm just looking at this video of a Dutch-trained eagle taking down a drone, and it's remarkable.
Exactly. Not scared at all. Because, I mean, in all seriousness, these drone propellers, they spin super fast, right?
Yeah. In all seriousness, leave it to the Dutch. They conquered the ocean, and they've conquered the skies. And that's all the time we have for Tony 5, foreign correspondent. Up next, the strange, seemingly extraterrestrial object that some people are calling alien technology from another world. It's called the Buga sphere, and details and what you need to know about it in a few moments.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at polestar.com.
Keep listening to The Last Show with David Cooper, because the alien invasion can wait. The Last Show with David Cooper.
A mysterious sphere crashed in Colombia, sparking wild theories about aliens and hidden technologies. It's known as the Buga sphere, and it's captivated scientists and believers alike. Is it an extraterrestrial artifact or just space junk? Let us dive into this strange, swirling mystery on Noah versus the Unknown with Noah Cappe. Answers answered, questions questioned. Noah, my goodness, welcome to the show.
Who else could have been in this segment? I mean, as soon as you start talking about the Buga sphere, at this point, your fans must know, well, Noah's here.
Fan, and it's my mom, but my mom is looking forward to hearing you talk about the Buga man.
Oh!
Look, I'm a skeptic. I'm in the space junk camp, but I will, as always, suspend my disbelief. Let's talk about this object. How is it discovered, and what do we know about its recovery?
Well, listen, this is like a weird one, but this weird one, as always, seems to open a door to something that feels like it just proves that we are not alone. This is a ball, a metal orb that there's video of. Farmers in Buga, Colombia are apparently out working in the fields. They see this metal sphere flying through the air and film it and see it come and kind of like land in the brush. There's footage of a farmer walking up to the sphere. And then, of course, as these videos always do, it cuts off kind of right around as he gets to it. From there, it has opened up this just treasure trove of wacky experiments and scientists and people coming from all over the world to test this thing. And it is a weird object. I mean, it looks wild. One side of it is just like flat, completely seamless brush kind of spherical metal. But then the other side is covered in all of these odd carvings. There's this big thing that looks like an electrical circuit, kind of almost looks like it's welded onto the side of it. I mean, if you saw a picture of this, you would immediately say it's fake.
I did see a picture, and I immediately say it's fake. And one of the claims is that when it was recovered, it was about 11 kilograms, I don't know, 25 pounds, some odd. And then it later weighed about 9 kilograms, about 20 pounds. And I have proof that that means nothing, because my bathroom scale says one thing, and then I weigh myself when I get a check-in at the doctor, and I'm about 5 pounds heavier. So there, proof. Could just be a different scale.
Well, listen, if you're also filled with fiber optic cables, then there might be something that would explain so much. This is This is one that I feel like, okay, this thing just looks not right. It looks like it's a human cobbled together art project that's supposed to be something that's so advanced. It just seems odd. But that sphere, that orb, connects to a lot of sphere and orb sightings and a lot of sphere and orb videos that are 100% legitimate, that are proven by governments, by witnesses, by people whose job it is to take videos and debunk them.
Just because you say it confidently and say there is no doubt this is proof, that's not the same as proof, Noah.
No question. So let's get into proof.
Fine.
All right.
I'm all ears.
We've got two categories here. We've got a handful of people over time, like the Betts sphere, which is a Florida couple, which found a very similar metallic sphere that they claimed moved around their house on its own. The government showed up at their house to take it to run tests on it, and then brought back the ball, but they claim that they were given a different ball back, that it had different weights, it was seamless, there was no welding marks. The Betts sphere landed up people saying, well, it's part of like an industrial pressure, like a water tube. It's like a pump. It's like a part of a gear type of thing or whatever. That it was like fell off an artist's truck who was, kilometers away on the highway and somehow rolled through the forest. So there's these weird stories over time of these spheres, right?
Sure. But that Betts sphere is from an era when the Air Force had a vested interest, the U.S. Air Force had a vested interest in UFO sightings to cover up their stealth bomber technology and stealth fighter technology. So they were putting out disinformation on the hopes that people that made claims that they saw something up there, which was government tech, were UFOs, to debunk it and throw the Russians off their trail and this kind of thing. So UFO sightings, government involvement in them of that era, I'm particularly skeptical. I'm not necessarily skeptical of this Colombian thing, but that Betts sphere, I'm super skeptical.
Well, listen, I mean, for the first time I ever hit the actual record button, and don't just do this for the two of us. This is a moment that we should share with people. This is, I agree with you. Everything you just said, I agree with you.
Well, the documents have been declassified, so.
But there's a ... The government absolutely is, saying, well, we're throwing you off the whatever because we've got stealth technology and stuff we don't want you to know about. But the ... is that technology is coming from retrieved aircraft, from crashed artifacts, from reverse engineering technologies, whatever. I mean, Lockheed Martin, we know the Tic Tacs are Lockheed Martin technology now. Whatever. So let's talk about, okay, listen, you can say no 190 times, but it doesn't change the fact that there are videos. So let's switch lanes and let's go to hard proof now. Let's talk about let's talk about Puerto Rico 2013 government video. This is like Army, this is U.S. Customs is involved in this, border protection, infrared cameras. There's a spherical object. It is filmed for minutes, flying over airports, ripping across land, over top of whatever. You can see it. They're zooming in and out on it. And then, as they often do, out over the ocean, boom, into the ocean, seamless, no change in speed, no sense of propulsion. It then emerges as two orbs when it went in as one, and it's called the Aguadilla, if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, UFO. And this is on video. This object broke so many laws of physics. This is video. There's that. We talked about the Mosul orb, which is another crazy video as well. And there are people who kind of, say that they'll debunk that. But there is footage of these orb-shaped things, and they just scream, this is not human.
They don't to me, but let's assume they do. Tell me more about the Buga sphere, theories on what it is.
Well, I mean, this is one of those where you often can just tell by going into Google and looking at the publication names on who's doing stories and research. And if you don't see one publication that you've ever heard of, it often seems to imply that maybe the story is got more holes in it than we want to believe. I don't think the Buga sphere is necessarily legitimate, but I do think it is a legitimate attempt at people trying to pull one over because these things are out there. We are seeing these. They have been documented. There are cases of it. So I would file the Buga sphere under debunked. I don't think this is legit, but I would file orbs and spheres as, I mean, what's greater than 100%? 101?
Yeah. The fact that you aren't skeptical makes me worry, because I, as a skeptic, won't say that it's 100% fake. I'm going to go with 99.9. Like, I don't know is where I land on. I don't know, leaning on don't believe. And I feel like you should be the same. You should be like, I don't know, leaning on believe.
I feel like when I see so many videos from so many parts of the world, and it's from all levels, you've got government infrared from a fighter jet, you've got some dude camping in Greenland. When you've got dozens of videos of glowing colored orbs of lights moving through the forest, shooting up into the sky, like everybody always explains the same thing. It moves in a weird way, in some we can't describe, and then like it was, quote, shot out of a gun.
You don't get to sum all your mediocre evidence and say it's good evidence. You get to pick your best one. Noah, what a pleasure it was talking to you. I love having you on the show. Noah Cappe, check him out online. It's Noah versus the Unknown. Noah, thanks again.
We're not alone.
After the break, why if you think AI is a great thing, you're more likely to get addicted to social media.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Cooper's Law tells us that the complexity of a relationship is inversely proportional to its explanation. You're listening to The Last Show with David Cooper.
If you love using artificial intelligence, does it cause you to get hooked on social media? A new study says yes. Researchers found that those who have positive attitudes toward AI tend to spend more time online and may be at greater risk for social media addiction, which leads to questions about how technology shapes our habits. I'm here with one of those researchers. His name is Christian Montag. He's a cognitive and brain sciences researcher at the Institute of Collaborative Innovation at the University of Macau. Chris, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, David.
Let's start simple. What made you curious enough to ask whether people's attitudes toward AI could be then linked to their social media habits?
Yeah, we're living in a world where more and more products and systems are empowered by AI, and in particular, social media is here a critical service which relies, of course, on artificial intelligence. Just think about the recommendation engine behind YouTube, for example, or behind the news feed. The whole personalization process is not thinkable without AI. And there's, on the other hand, a huge research field trying to understand how people form attitudes towards AI, which is, of course, critical. We are moving to societies where everything is AI empowered. And of course, it's good to have some kind of positive attitude towards it. Otherwise, you might not use it. But it might come with costs, as we observed. Namely, there seems to be a link between positive AI attitudes and also overusing social media. Might be the case that people who have more positive attitudes, more like AI, they immerse themselves more in these systems and then might be also more at risk.
You've written that AI is sort of invisible on social media. Do you think most people realize how much artificial intelligence is shaping their social media feeds and therefore their attention spans when they're on their phones or computers?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And that's also a critical point which we discuss in our work, namely, and how far are we aware of the fact that AI operates behind these products. And I would say for sure, a lot of people have a fuzzy feeling about, that there might be AI behind it. But of course, I don't think that they, on a daily life basis, think that they are interacting with an AI product here. But things are changing. I mean, if you take a look at products such as Snapchat, they have My Chat included, which is a chatbot. This is clearly AI empowered, and I think there the awareness will be larger. And of course, if you start to onboard as character AI or other large language models, there it's pretty obvious that you are interacting with a machine, although people might immerse themselves that strongly that after a while they think they are talking to a human.
I think we're like inches away, days away, maybe years away from not being able to tell the difference between a legitimate human interaction and an AI interaction on social media. And that's what worries me. You won't be able to tell the difference in the future. And so if we can't know, will it destroy social media, or are those that are addicted to it, they'll just use it just thinking it's people and not realizing?
So I think we really need to have a critical discussion on where the too much with AI starts in these products, because if we think, I mean, it's very hard to make a forecast, as we both know. I mean, this area is exploding. It's very hard to keep track on all the AI developments. There's literally an AI race happening at the moment between the tech juggernauts. But this said, I mean, it's pretty clear that a lot of AI features will result in more immersiveness, and then clearly also in a product which might lure in people even stronger than we see it today. And I think there is a fine line between providing customers or people with a good service, which people like to use because it's very convenient. But on the other hand, these services should not get too immersive and take too much of our time, or which is another topic we need to discuss, namely over-reliance in these areas. If we not only think about social media, but also large language models, it's pretty clear that we more and more outsource cognitive functions to these large language models or other AI products, and we're not thinking ourselves anymore. And this might be, of course, not very good if these products come up with wrong facts. We talk about hallucinations in this area.
Sure.
Or we don't use our brains anymore and lose cognitive functions because we don't think anymore.
I think the great example is like using AI to generate music. Musicians won't know how to write, or writers will use AI to generate their articles, and those skills will atrophy. But let's get back to the central thesis here. Those who use AI more, getting more hooked on social media. Was this connection stronger in any one particular group? I'm reading something that it might be stronger in men.
Yeah, that was an interesting finding. Of course, cornerstone analysis usually always to investigate age and gender. And what we observed indeed is that the link between positive attitudes or more positive attitudes and more problematic social media use, aka addiction, was stronger in males compared to females. And this might be for some listeners surprising, because we know from the field of social media addiction that at least in some samples, females report an average higher scores than males. But we know on the other side that if we take a look at positive AI attitude research, interaction with machines and forming attitudes towards AI systems, that here usually males have a slightly higher positive attitudes than females, at least according to several studies. And this might explain the fact here that we have this gender effects with the males showing stronger associations than females.
A few months ago, I interviewed a researcher that looked at the workplace, and attitudes towards those that use large language models and AI in the workplace were generally negative. Is that changing? Are we starting to hear if our coworker uses AI, we don't care to do their work? And if so, would that be included under the umbrella of positive attitudes here?
Well, I think we're at a critical moment in time where it's becoming pretty clear that AI will empower very different areas in our lives. And of course, also, as you mentioned, work life. And I mean, what people fear in this area is, of course, that a lot of jobs will be on the line due to the automation process. But I think what is also clear is the saying, which everyone have heard in the meanwhile, is AI will not take your job, but a human using AI in a proper way will take the jobs. And therefore, I think it's really critical that we uplift ourselves by really using this benevolent AI technologies in order to get better and more efficient at things, because I think that's really critical. In this area, it's really interesting what Singapore government is offering their citizens 40 years or up, namely go back to university and get an AI degree. So they go more in this direction, lifelong learning. And if you're 40, you're obviously for a long time out of university, but you still have a lot of time to go on the job market. And I think that is a critical reflection we all need to do.
I really like that. I've heard this said in a lot of words in vague ways, but the way you say it, a human who knows how to use AI will take your job in the future, not AI. And I think it's just being brushed up with skills and learning this thing and embracing it rather than being fearful of it.
Yeah, it's true. Although, that's I think also very important regarding our study. So we were very also down to tone in our work because it's an exploratory study. It's the first one. So I could also imagine that we see in the future, for example, that people who fear AI more show also, for example, more problematic social media use, but the effect might be differently explained then. It might be that people who fear this technology actually are not that aware of AI, operates behind social media, and in order to reduce the negative effect, they immerse themselves in technologies just not to think about this anymore. So there are very different paths we might see in the future. But what we wanted to do, because also all our study cannot imply causality, we just wanted to start here based on our data set, which is interesting in discussion, which I think is really important to have in societies.
And I appreciate you having it with me. And I hope there's a future not so far from now where big AI tools can be used to detect whether AI is being used on social media. That's what I would like to see coming soon. Chris, thanks for talking to me today. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much for the inputs. All the best.
Christian Montag is a cognitive and brain sciences researcher at the Institute of Collaborative Innovation at the University of Macau. Amazon Prime Day 2025 is here, and it might just be another excuse to worship our capitalist overlords. Or are there actual deals hiding in the chaos? Is it worth the hype? Can you save? What makes this year different? And in what creepy ways will AI be used to target us directly, knowing what we'll probably buy? Is it 10,000 internet cables? Because if it is, they know me well. So what to look forward to on Prime Day in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Close your eyes, exhale, feel your body relax, and let go of whatever you're carrying today.
Well, I'm letting go of the worry that I wouldn't get my new contacts in time for this class. I got them delivered free from 1-800-CONTACTS. Oh my gosh, they're so fast.
And breathe.
Oh, sorry. I almost couldn't breathe when I saw the discount they gave me on my first order. Oh, sorry. Namaste.
Visit 1-800-CONTACTS.com today to save on your first order.
1-800-CONTACTS.
The only talk show with an introduction that mentions its own introduction. And that's happening right now in this introduction. The last show with David Cooper.
Begging for a mention. Yeah, you just want attention.
It's that time of the year again, Amazon Prime Day, or as I like to call it, I'm annoyed I couldn't wait and I paid more for this item 2 months ago day. But this year might be different, bigger, smaller, stranger, weirder. Let's worship, or at least humor, our capitalist overlord gods for a second here and discuss with a retail analyst and unpack about Prime Day 2025 and whether all those so-called deals are worth the hype. I'm here with Bruce Winder. Bruce, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
One year I got a wild deal on a computer on Prime Day, and I recommended to all my friends in 2024 to look out for computer parts. And there wasn't one on there that looked good. 2023 was so different than 2024. I don't know what to expect with Prime Day these days. What can we expect to see this year?
Well, there is some differences this year. I mean, the biggest difference is that the event is 4 days versus two. It started in 2015 to celebrate Amazon's 20th anniversary, and it was one day. And then around 2018 or 19, they made it 2 days. And now, for the first time, they've made it 4 days. So that's a big difference. The other difference, too, is that in the US, they have something called Today's Big Deals, which is new. It's sort of like a pounding of we used to call them door crashers, but these really hot priced items introduced every day, every hour to kind of keep people there. So in Canada, a little bit different. They're having a little more Canadiana merchandise. But yeah, there's some changes this year.
What do you call that? I feel like now with some tension between the two countries, economic tensions, I feel like some American companies are selling into Canada and kind of posturing like they're very Canadian. For example, like when you overdo it on breast cancer month, even though you might not donate to the charities, you call it pink washing.
Right.
When an oil company tells you how green they are, they call it greenwashing.
Right.
Are we seeing that now with companies like Amazon, which are decidedly American, like very American? You can't get more American than that. Trying to kind of play up patriotism to get Canadian consumers to buy?
We have seen some companies, not necessarily Amazon, but other companies, we call it maple washing, where they're sort of taking advantage of the moment. But, the difference I think with Amazon is they've invested a lot in Canada. So they've got about 70 warehouses up here. They employ about 40,000 people, which is a lot for Canada. And they've dropped about 30 billion in the country since they've been here. So unlike companies that just kind of come up, sell stuff, take their cash home, they're kind of invested in the country. So I think they're pretty good in that regard.
All right, I accept that counter argument and back off my position a little bit in terms of Amazon being decidedly American. What do you think the mood of consumers is this year? Are people hungry to buy, or with rising costs, inflation, people are, even though there's deals out there, they may be a little bit hesitant to take them?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think consumers are pretty cautious overall. Having said that, they will buy if they see the price is right. They're kind of waiting in the weeds. They're not buying as much at regular price right now. Some people are front loading a little bit in the US because they're a little nervous about some tariffs coming down the pipe. So I think it's going to be a good event. The pricing, I think, is going to be sharp. People will buy if the deal's right. The problem is, for other retailers, maybe brick and mortar, who aren't involved in these events, they're not buying as much at regular price. The other thing that Amazon has done, which I think is smart, is they've offered a lot more essentials this time too, a lot of everyday items. Because there's some people who say, well, I got to use my money for everyday items. So there's lots of those as well.
I need 75 USB chargers, 140 rolls of paper towel, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, like the basics, shampoo, things like that, all the basic sundries you'd use for your house.
I bought counterfeit shampoo on Amazon a few months ago.
Oh my.
I was like, this shampoo's really weird. It doesn't lather. And then my girlfriend tried my shampoo because she steals my shampoo. And she's like, this isn't right. And then I looked it up, and a couple, home, what do you call it? Personal care items like shampoo, cosmetics. These things can get on there and be counterfeited. And so I just opened up a request on Amazon. They refunded me, but yes, maybe watch out for high-end cosmetics on sale. Have you heard of this counterfeiting on that platform?
Yeah, I mean, there's counterfeiting on every platform, and Amazon has, I think, a page or two on their website that talks about, how to handle counterfeits and what to look for. Unfortunately, it slips through. I mean, they have about 300 million items on the site, right? So you're going to get a few that slip through that are counterfeit, unfortunately.
Advice for me, who bought a projector 2 months ago and now sees it on sale for 15% and can't return it and get the deal and feels really bad. I know this is oddly specific, but for consumers who paid a whole boatload of money for something only to see it go on sale today, just suck it up, wait for next year, be more patient next time. Any advice?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, that's sort of one of the hazards of retail, is that timing is everything, and there's really not much the retailer can do, because things go on sale. And maybe just my lesson is, whatever you need next time, maybe wait for Prime Day or wait for Black Friday or whatever you do to buy on sale.
AI and recommended algorithms. I'm seeing this more and more. I did log on to Amazon today, and it immediately showed me 3 or 4 things that it knew I wanted.
Yeah.
And I had to fight and be like, you're outsmarting me. I'm going to buy this, and I'm not going to take the bait. The truth is, by the end of the day, I'll probably buy one of those 3 things. With these advancements, how much of Prime Day is going to be very hyper-personalized now? That email, that landing page, is it going to be very much for me, the consumer?
Absolutely. I mean, that's been happening for a little while now, is especially Amazon, but they personalize the items they show you. They personalize in some cases colors and designs based on, what you've looked for in the past. They also have an AI app called Rufus, which will help you shop. So it's sort of like the whole generative AI chat GPT thing, where you go on there and it'll help you search for things and save you a lot of time. So AI is everywhere now in retail, and it's just going to continue to grow.
Who was in their marketing department when they came up with the name Rufus? It rhymes with doofus.
It sounds like a nice dog, like a nice pet dog or something, I guess.
I suppose it does. Be honest, though, from what you've seen today, deal quality, are things really good? Should I be trying to snag things, or is it just like a couple % off, or they tell you what the original price was and then quote you a massive percentage, but that thing was on sale before Prime Day? You're actually only getting a small percentage. I guess the question, are the deals really that good?
Yeah, the deals are really good because they're not dumb. They know that the consumer's super frugal this year, and they know that they have to come, with their pencil sharpened significantly on price, or the merchandise will just sit there. So yeah, the deals are going to be good, and you have to shop around, but for sure you can get some zingers on there today and through the event.
Should we look to rivals like Walmart, Target, Best Buy? These companies tend to mark things down without much announcement the same time as Prime Day in an attempt to compete. Should we be shopping around, or is Amazon the one-stop shop there?
Well, you can always shop around. I always recommend everyone to shop around. I mean, Walmart and Target and everyone in Best Buy, they sort of jump on the bandwagon during the Prime days, and they have their own event. So by all means, you should always shop around and make sure you're getting a good deal. But yeah, it's I think it was Adobe that thinks that over the next 4 to 5 days, they're going to do about overall 24 billion in e-commerce sales, including all retailers. So it's a pretty important time of year now.
Prime Day fatigue. The thing it lasts longer now. You're mentioning how there's the deal of the day or the deal of the hour or the lightning deal where I got to check every minute to see if the thing that I want is on sale. Do you think consumers are just getting a little bit tired of all this? Like, I don't want to be logging onto Amazon 5 times a day for 4 days straight just to save a few pennies. I'll just pretend like there was no sale and not buy that thing I didn't really need. Do you think consumers are like me, getting a little fatigued of all this?
I think if the sales are there and the savings is there, they won't get fatigued. I mean, it's only 4 days. It's not like it's 3 weeks. I mean, you look at Black Friday now. Black Friday used to be a day, and now it's a month. So I still think there's lots of runway for Prime left.
Well, thanks so much for talking to me about this, Bruce. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Take care.
Bruce Winder is a retail analyst and author. All right, grown-ups, after the break, this one's going to be for you. So sensitive listeners or parents with children, be advised because we are diving into the art of sending the perfect sexy pic. Yup, angles, lighting, what makes a good sext, and of course, consent. So if you want to step up your adult selfie game responsibly, stick around. We're spicing things up in a few moments.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
It's time for Sex Etc. with Samantha Bitty. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Get your camera angles sorted, get your lighting right, and make sure your revealing outfit, if you're going to wear one at all, is freshly ironed. It's how to send a sext responsibly. I'm joined by Samantha Bitty, sexual health and consent educator for Sex Etc. Samantha, welcome in as always.
Thank you.
I want to split this into 2 parts. Well, both educational, but one talking more about consent, because sending nudes isn't always something that's done right. So let's talk about that.
This topic is actually, if you rewind to, gosh, maybe 2018, maybe 2019, how to send good nudes or how to send nudes properly was the first video that I ever did when I started doing media-based work.
Oh, cool.
And it was really popular. Like, it was a really popular topic. It got picked up by like some kind of like mainstream gossipy kind of like whatever lifestyle stuff. And I had done like additional interviews about it because, you know, at that time it wasn't new by any means, but it was definitely picking up momentum the way that like apps were picking up momentum. And then we went into the pandemic and the lockdowns, and it became all the more relevant, prevalent, and yeah, so it's something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about, talking about, and partaking in. So it's a wonderful topic.
Theoretical, actual experience, anecdotal. I feel like you're a wealth of information here. Let's just get this out of the way. Consent is key, especially for sexts.
I think that consent is key, especially for anything sexual, but with the nuance of, digital media and representations and of our bodies and whatever else, there's so many factors to take into consideration. Um, Not least of which is like, what is the lifespan of this nude?
Right.
Right. And so the consent piece actually starts with yourself. Like, what am I seeking from sending this? What am I comfortable with? Do I want this person to have this forever potentially, or do I want it to be something that's brief? How would I feel if this got out? Like, how would I feel if this person shared this? And just knowing in yourself what you're comfortable with so that you can articulate that as you start to negotiate sending nudes. So just like, what are my own internal consent needs around it?
And I don't want to do fear mongering, but like disposable apps where it shows the image for a second and then disappears, those don't always work. So that's just something to be aware of. I'm not saying don't send sexy pics. I'm just saying kind of educate yourself on how this technology works. If you're super conservative when it comes to sharing this stuff, maybe you take them and then show them to your partner on your phone without actually giving them a digital copy. There are ways to kind of like deal with everyone's comfort level around like trusting others with these photos long term, because in many cases these photos don't go away, and that's okay. It's just good to be aware of that stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, for as long as we live in a sex shame centric society, particularly in the gendered way, right? These are things that we have to be mindful of. And so while, as you said, we don't want to act from a place of fear, it is important to take those things into consideration and risk assess and all of that. And the same thing is true. I don't know the age of all of your listeners, but if you're someone who's under the age of 16, if you're under the age of 18, there are different consequences around sending like sexual media. And so just being aware of what those things are also like some relevant considerations.
Yeah, and where you live, like in many jurisdictions, it's illegal. So like my naive advice would be like, wait until you're the age where you can be photographed like that and then partake. But sex aren't just images. They could be like sexy descriptions or, oh, I'd like to do this activity with you. It's not rowing. I don't know why I chose rowing. Rowing sounds hard and difficult, not important. And then like in terms of negotiating like what people might want, you should be asking like, hey, would you be comfortable with something sexy? And then if the answer is yes, hey, would you be comfortable with maybe graphic description of what I might send? Answers yes, great, send it. Is that one way to kind of go through making sure that what you're about to send is solicited?
Sure. And I think that it can seem clunky or extra or like doing too much or awkward. And my response to that is like, sex is awkward. Okay. Like sex is awkward. Sexting is awkward. And doing that kind of like pre-pro negotiation is going to make the actual like engaging activity itself more fulfilling, more grounded. And I think that it can be as simple as like, is it okay for me to send you a photo of me or whatever? Or is like, if you're requesting a nude, It's like, can you send me this? Right. And again, when you've done that internal consent piece, you know what you're comfortable sending, like which parts of my body I feel comfortable sending. I don't want my face in it, or I do want my face in it, or the background, like what's in my background, what's in my room behind me, like what, like just deciding the scale of anonymity that you're comfortable with, whether that's using like photo disposable app type tech, or if it's what you're actually showing in this. And then in terms of the like, sexy conversations, voice notes, videos, whatever, that part with another person, like let's say you've gotten to the negotiation part of like, is now a good time for me to send you a pic of my and that person's like, absolutely, the answer is always yes. There's that element of like, okay, but if I send you this, I don't want you to show anyone, right? Or like, if I send you something, it's between us. Or if I send you something, you can show your friends, but you have to show it from your phone. Like, do not send this out to anyone. And just those sorts of negotiations. And those things can change over time as you develop intimacy, trust, comfort, or lack of that.
Sure.
Right. And I think also too, learning to say no if it's not what you want to do. Right. Like the motivation for sending like the motivation for asking for them, I think can be pretty clear, if we're thinking of things in like, in good faith, like someone's like, yeah, I want this because I want to you, or I want to see more of you, or whatever they're, that those tend to be pretty like clear. Our motivations for sending can be anything from like, I want the dopamine hit of somebody enjoying me, or I want attention, or I want to seduce this person, or I'm having like a low self-esteem day and I want to be affirmed, whatever it, or like I'm feeling horny and I want to like get off on this, like I get off on you getting off, whatever it is, right?
Sure.
The more that, the more comfortable you are with that, the less likely you are to have bad feelings afterwards if, let's say, that relationship doesn't work out. Because at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, I sent that for me. Like, yes, I'm in an exchange with someone. We're co-creating a sexual environment, but there is an element of like agency in that where it's like, okay, this person acted like trash after, but I didn't just send it to them to like appease them or to please them. There was like self-motivation there. And so I think that also impacts how we feel about the lifespan of our nudes.
Rewinding a bit, despite our invitation for people to challenge this idea that like negotiating beforehand isn't sexy, one strategy to deal with that is like separate it into different sittings. You could be like, okay, I don't feel sexy about asking what you would like, but I'm going to do it now. And then we're going to wait an hour. It's going to be a separate sitting. And then I'm going to send you something without talking about it up front. I feel like there's little ways to deal with people who are uncomfortable about setting their boundaries and negotiating that stuff up front.
I love that.
Samantha Bitty is here. It's Sex Etc. When we come back, we'll talk more about how to send a sexy text, lighting, should you get feedback from your friends, and more.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Please be advised that the following program contains audio content that may be graphic and potentially triggering for some listeners. This content may include descriptions or sounds that some may find disturbing. Listener discretion is strongly advised. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Sex, etc. is what is going on right now. A little bit more on the etc. side here with Samantha Bitty, sexual health and consent educator, as we explore how to send the best possible sexy pic over text, over Messenger, over whatever platform you use. Samantha, welcome back.
I have to challenge that this is an etc. conversation. Sexting is a valid form of sexual activity.
But camera angles and lighting, it's starting to get out there. And I am curious because I always get told I take terrible photographs. Like I get handed the camera at a party to photograph the friends, and I always get criticized. I'm bad at angles. I don't know how women want to be seen. I don't know if it's me, but are there tricks for like how to take a good one from like a photography, mechanical things that anyone who don't know things about cameras can do?
Just as an aside, when someone takes what I perceive to be a bad photo of me, let alone posts a bad photo of me, it makes me question whether they love me or not.
Yep.
I'm like, that's how you see me. Like if you loved me and cared about me, you would have sorted this out. You wouldn't have done me like this. I am so beautiful in person, like actually stunning and gorgeous. You can attest to this, David. We've spent time IRL.
I can.
To see a bad photo, I'm like, wow, this is like borderline abusive, but all right.
I am that guy, and I apologize to everyone who I've borderline been abusive to by taking a unflattering photo and not realized it. So to that end, how could I do better? Or if photographing myself for romantic purposes, how can I do better?
I would say that everyone has their features that they're like, this is my UVP, this is my unique value proposition.
What are we on Wall Street right now?
The KPI, the key performance indicator of a good nude. No, I think that, yeah. So all jokes aside, everybody has their features that they feel confident about. Right. And, everybody's bodies are different and people have different types of sexy parts. There are definitely more sexy parts that could be on the table for, women and people with breasts and all the different things. And I think there's first like knowing what you feel comfortable or what you feel confident about, like which body part you feel confident about. Angles definitely are important. Like there are certain angles where you're capturing what you feel is a more compelling representation of these body parts. And I believe in asking another person like, okay, well, like, what do you want to see? And they'll reply to you. And I'm often having these conversations with men. It can be a very gendered thing. And I also have these conversations with women. And I notice that like what a woman would want to see from me sexually differs than what a man would like to see. And sometimes people come in hot and crazy. Sorry to use that word, but it is kind of crazy. They'll be like, show me your and it's like, for one, it's like really hard to take a photo of it. And then second of all, like what? So I think that there can be like a progression of like, okay, entry level nude, maybe intermediate, and then there's like, okay, this is X-rated, whatever. So knowing, and again, I have no judgment. Some people are like, yeah, here's the full,
Yeah. How do we go from like, okay, maybe one bra strap is off to like full on like triple X, like just right in there, like, whoa, just
here's the whole cookie. Yeah.
Just the body part, nothing else. I mean, there's a journey, right?
Yeah. And I mean, everybody has a different relationship to feeling like embodied and disembodied in terms of the ways that they capture, whether their face is in a photo or not. And so, yeah, I think sometimes that part requires negotiation as well. Like, okay, I'm not going to show you that, but I'll show you this. And they'll be like, I'll take it, whatever. But yes, I think angles and lighting are important. I think that like what's in your background, as I talked about before, is important. I think that taking the photo in a way that makes you feel comfortable and sexy, but also through the gaze of who is receiving it. Because, for an example, I have received some extremely questionable and unsexy pics, like extremely questionable and unsexy. pics and it's not even like they said, can I show you this? And I'm like, you know what? Sure. Like,
go nuts.
Why not? Whatever. Right. Or I'm enthusiastic. Like, yes, I want to see it. Let's go. And it's like, you build up to this thing of wanting to show me your and then it's absolute nonsense. Like 100 miles away from the mirror and you've like, what is this? Like, so I think putting yourself in the mind of who's receiving it. But then on the flip side, and again, this is me, this is personal preference. This is just something to consider. These are reflections. An overly artistic pic is also kind of like, okay, I didn't know I was at OCAD. Like, I didn't like
Ansel Adams over here.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Since we were talking about corporate speak, unique value prop, core something initiative, whatever. I used to manage a team when I was at a big corporation. And one of the people who reported to me, I was their manager. He said to me when I first started managing him, I'm very praise motivated. So anytime there's like a company meeting or a team meeting where you're like handing out great jobs or like nominating someone for some stupid corporate thing where it's like, employee of the month, like he's like, I really enjoy that stuff and it really motivates me. And I'm just going to say it because I know it feels weird, but like, could you, if you believe I should be, nominated for this kind of stuff or given this praise, just give it to me. We'll never have this conversation again. I'm just telling you like how to manage me. And he was a great employee and I often did, and he really liked it. And had he not have told me that, I would have just been absent-minded and never praised him. Like, who cares? I'm not motivated by that stuff. And to that end, I want to take that corporate learning. You can up front tell the person who is you're going to send them nudes like, hey, when I do, I want you to compliment me. I want to feel sexy. I might be feeling that day a little bit low or want attention, and I want you to give it to me. Be upfront and communicate with what you want to get out of the experience so the person's not left guessing and you're not left disappointed.
Absolutely, 100%. I love that example. I was actually joking with a friend last night about how, and that I do relationship counseling and coaching and all of that and whatever. And I was like, every person that I interact with who had boomer parents has praise kink. Every single person constantly has, like, we have praise needs, right? Where it's like, we need and want to constantly be affirmed that we're doing a good job, that you still like me, you're not mad at me. And that is just, I feel like it's generational. Like, it is truly generational. And to that point, I said the thing about the gender thing. If I send a nude to say like my best friend, right? And it's like my woman best friend, I get the most lesbianic response you can imagine. There's 75 emojis. There's, oh my God, I'm going to pass away. I can't believe this. I can't breathe. Like, you're so hot, blah, 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 blah. If I then send that to like a lover and they're like, just a single like hot emoji or like, you're hot, I'm like, well, I guess I'll die. Like, I will never show you my breasts again. Like, just, and so, yeah, I think that even if a nude, to my point earlier about getting like a whack nude, even if it didn't turn you on, even if you weren't like super into it, even if you think they dropped the ball, it is so important to still give positive feedback. Be like, at the very least, say, thank you for sending that to me.
Yeah.
Or like, just be, you might not feel enthusiastic, but please do act enthusiastic. And that is the necessary aftercare for a nude. Thank you for sharing that with me. You're so hot.
Yeah, communicating praise needs up front, but then also praising people. Super important part of the process. I'm here with Samantha Bitty. Samantha, thank you so much for joining me. What a great chat.
Thanks, David.
Have you ever wanted to give your future self advice? Well, that's exactly what we do here on this show. And you can call in and give your future self advice via our time machine or voicemail inbox. To do so, the number coming up in a second. Advice for your tomorrow self from yesterday, today, in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Advice for your tomorrow self from yesterday, or maybe from today for tomorrow. If you're confused, you're not alone. This is what happens on The Last Show with David Cooper and Tony Five.
Ooh, dystopian music and dystopian content here with Tony Five. Welcome.
Dystonian content, my friend.
Oh.
Dystonian content.
The puns are killing me. Literally, I'm dying.
Okay.
It's very simple what we do here. We tap into the past. We record advice for ourselves from yesterday to be played today, but from the perspective of yesterday, that's tomorrow. It's advice from yesterday for your tomorrow self today. Easy peasy, simple to understand.
It is. I don't know why, David, we get so many emails of people being so rude to us, screaming, caps lock on, saying, what is this stupid segment you do? We don't understand it. Why are you on the radio? Help, my ears are burning, my ears are bleeding. And if you do that, yeah, listen to this show. It makes sense.
Yeah, and they also say, why is the such and such part of my body burning? I should probably go to the doctor and stop emailing you. Goodbye. That's how the emails usually end.
Yes, again, we have no idea about your immigration status. You don't need to email us. We cannot offer any advice other than we both have passports.
Yes, I have a temporary passport. I'm exchanging it for a real one at the consulate tomorrow, fun fact.
Sadly, yeah, we don't even have passports. That's how bad we are. Only 50% of a two-person show has a passport at the moment.
All right, Tony, here's your advice from your yesterday self, today, tomorrow, from yesterday, probably, definitely.
Good afternoon, dear boy. My advice for today, for tomorrow, that I'm going to use today, I think David's going to play it tomorrow, but I'm going to play it today in my head and say it now, but to be played tomorrow, is never leave a can of furniture spray in place of deodorant. Self-explanatory, really. All right, take care.
What is furniture? Like polish?
Yeah, you know what you use to like spray wood and like cleaning? It looks just like furniture polish. And I was up very, very early this morning, sprayed both of my armpits, and what can only be described as being lemony fresh. And then because of the frictionless surface it gives you, my arms just swang around and around. I looked like a pendulum until I worked out what it was, and then went back upstairs and realized I'd sprayed furniture polish under my arms and then had to wipe myself down again. So yeah, great advice, my friend. Is there any like skin reaction, or is it just like what happened? No, it just becomes frictionless. I mean, I don't know. Do you not have Pledge or Mr. Sheen? That's what it was. It was Mr. Sheen.
Mr. Sheen? We have Mr. Clean, not Mr. Sheen.
My God, is that the US Canadian version of Mr. Sheen?
I don't know. It might be a different product altogether, but Mr. Clean is this bald guy.
Has he got a mustache?
I don't know. He kind of looks like Hulk Hogan.
Yes! So we've got a guy who flies an old World War II plane called Mr. Sheen, and his catchphrase is, Mr. Sheen shines up things, think clean.
No, he's slightly different. He's got one earring, and he's bald, and he's wearing a white shirt, and he crosses his arms, and he's Mr. Clean.
Okay, well, we have Mr. Sheen. If you can, look him up, he is a phenomenal man. He's like Biggles. That's it. That's what he...
Oh, yeah. That kind of looks like a nerdy British...
Yeah. He looks like Biggles, right?
He's the stereotype of what you'd consider a British person would, and Mr. Clean may well be a stereotype of what you'd consider American.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. I wonder if it's the same product. They do stuff like that, don't they? Where they cater to different, I've heard jingles, which are just exactly the same bass music, but different words and lyrics and stuff, just to make it funny. I find it hilarious.
Like things that are similar but slightly different in the UK.
I mean, we have a company called Autoglass, right? And what they do is they come out and they replace your window on your car, right? And the jingle is Autoglass repair, Autoglass replace. And what people think is that if you lose a British person anywhere in the world, and if you shout out Autoglass repair, the missing person will shout out Autoglass replace, and that's how you find people.
I feel like there's, I don't want to give them sponsorship, but it's Speedy Autoglass here, and it's the exact same jingle.
Is it really?
I think so, based on the way you just sang it, and as my memory serves.
Yeah, so Autoglass repair, Autoglass replace. That's it.
All right. We are neither endorsed by nor endorsing anything on the show except...
Yeah, but if you'd like to sponsor us, we'd be more than happy to take your money.
We'll come to you. We'll come to your birthday parties.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's my advice from my yesterday self. David, it's you from yesterday, talking to you today through a time machine or a pre-recorded voice memo. Unclear on which one. Here's some advice. You ordered these medium rare ground beef Greek things for dinner 2 nights ago from the perspective of you now, but last night from me today. And then you ate them today cold. So your advice for your tomorrow self is don't eat medium rare ground beef the next day cold from the fridge. Oh. Mistake. Weird burps going on over here. Yeah, that was a bad day. Was it bad? It was a bad day. It was a bad choice.
Really?
Yeah, I should have put it in the toaster oven for 10 minutes or so.
Is it Greek food did you order? What did you order? That's medium rare.
It was beefy souvlaki kind of things. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Was it bad coming out?
No, I was okay in that regard. It left a very horrible taste in my mouth for some time.
Oh, good Lord. Is Miranda at home?
No, she's out. She went on some work trip today. She's in...
Oh, I bet she never realised how happy she was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So bad food. Yeah, don't do that. I feel that you're quite adventurous with food, not realising the repercussions it have on people around you, because you have a dodgy tummy and you have problems with your bowels and stuff, but yet you'll still enjoy the food that you probably know makes you bad, because people don't know, David, he's actually quite a foodie. You do like fancy food, don't you? Different foods.
Yeah, I like strong flavors, I guess. As a reformed, quitted, and kids don't smoke, it's bad for you, but as someone who used to smoke, I feel like I did my taste buds in for the years that I smoked. Yeah,
that's interesting. So you find the flavors more vibrant?
Maybe that happens with age, because I know kids don't like there's certain old man flavors that I love now.
Okay.
Like capers and olives and blue cheese. And as a kid, I was like, how can anyone ever eat that? And now I can't get enough of it.
Well, like a pirate? Were you a pirate as a child?
Yeah, yes, that was the way I sounded. Arr, why would anyone eat them blue cheese?
Shiver me timbers. Make him walk on a plank, Mom. Yeah, okay, fair enough. That's an issue.
So I feel like it happens as we age. We like old man tastes. I worry that it's because our sense of taste fades, which is not the part that I worry about. I also worry that our sense of smell fades, and that's why I think as we grow older, we smell to young people. Remember when you were 10 and people that are our age now smelled bad? I think we smell bad, and I just don't think we don't realize it because our young noses aren't attuned with it.
My friend, I believe it is called old personitis. I have a neighbor who is in his 80s who will speak to me, make direct eye contact with me, and pass wind as he talks to me. And it is so bold. It is so confident, my friend. I don't know whether he doesn't know, or actually, I don't know whether he just doesn't care. But the confidence this man exudes, whilst he talks to me sometimes about quite serious things, about bereavements, the funeral he's gone to, or the TV, or weather, and just passes the loudest wind. The loudest. Yeah, I mean, you can't hear him. You have to go, pardon? Yeah, like that. And no problem.
Maybe he's just so old. He's like, I don't care what people think of me. And that's admirable. Yeah. Now, the result of that admirable behavior is not great, but we all could stand to care less what others think. Maybe not that much less, but a little less.
Yeah, and I guess because he's old, you can't just laugh. If he was like your mate, you'd highlight it, you'd laugh, you'd tell your friends. But because of the age, you kind of don't say anything, right? You just allow this behavior. You just allow it, and you expect it. And I don't know what's happened to my life when I listen to that.
Maybe he's just trying to see what he can get away with, and you're letting him get away with it.
Do you think he's boundary pushing, and I'm allowing it?
I'd like to think he is. Tony Five, foreign correspondent in London, England. What a pleasure it was giving yourself advice from yesterday today, my friend.
David, always a pleasure. Now I'm going to go and see that neighbor now anyway. Bye.
Coming up, you're going to get a kick out of this one. We dive into a viral story of a dad who gift-wrapped his kid's own child support and called it generosity. He stiffed the kid's mom, and when their child reached a certain age, he gifted the money directly to the kid and called it a, quote, lump payment. Is something like that even legal? Is it emotional manipulation? You'll want to hear what one expert has to say after the break before you trust someone when they call creative child support a gift.
Want to be part Part of The Last Show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Hi, this is Javon, your Blinds.com design consultant.
Oh, wow. A real person.
Yep. I'm here to help with everything from selecting the perfect window treatments to...
Well, I've got a complicated project.
No problem. I can even help schedule a professional measure and install. We can also send you samples fast and free.
I just might have to do more.
Whatever you need.
So the first room we're looking at is for...
Shop Blinds.com now and save up to 40% site-wide. Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.
The show that asks the questions other shows are afraid to ask. The Last Show with David Cooper.
What happens when a parent turns child support into a rather twisted gift? Well, a viral story has people outraged after a dad handed his own child unpaid support money as an inheritance. Have you ever heard of anything like this? Well, family law expert and divorce attorney John Nachlinger joins us to unpack this legal mess, emotional fallout, and the hidden dangers of giving weird gifts to your kids and not telling your significant other, or I guess former significant other. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks, David.
Let's start here. How often do you see cases where parents decide to engage in child support in creative, maybe not even blessed by a court kind of ways?
You know, you see it more often than you would think. Child support's not a choose your own adventure, right? Like there's an order that says what you got to do and you're supposed to do it. But there's a lot of people out there that aren't subject to wage execution, meaning like they're like self-employed. And this could be like engineers, architects, doctors, lawyers, people that, their income can't be garnished. And they are the worst offenders of this. And a lot of times it's all about that control. They don't want to give child support to their ex because they want to control how the money is spent. So they play these little games like what was in this Reddit article, and they'll just withhold the money. And then sometimes they give it to their kid, sometimes they don't. But oftentimes they're not. The court really can't do much about it because really we can't arrest people and keep them in jail indefinitely because they didn't pay their child support.
Interesting. Yeah, if little Timmy is living with mom and mom's paying the bills, the spiteful baby daddy, in hopefully rare cases, but it can happen, have a lot of opinions about how money should be spent. And it's the person taking care of the kid may not always spend the money the way you would want them to, but they need that money to take care of their kid, and you really should butt out. Like, you shouldn't try to be controlling with how the money is spent, right?
But let me tell you, there are just so many people that are so controlling that they have to control how the money is spent. It's ridiculous. Because, child support's, not just for the roof over your head, but that's like their clothes, like going out to the movies with their friends, like every single thing that happens with a kid costs money. And, as someone, I have a 12-year-old who is literally bleeding me dry as we speak. Right before we started talking, I got another text for more money from her, and she's 12. So like people that have like these kids and they're not getting child support from, the other parent, it really is a problem. But you know what? Not everyone has the money or the mental acuity to go back to court and have to fight that same person again.
It's interesting. And this idea that like, I want all the money to go to the kid. I'll save it for college or whatever. I'll give it to them as an inheritance when they're 20 or whatever it may well be. You're really discounting the fact that it costs money to raise the kid from 0 to 18 when they're an adult and you want them to have this money, doesn't it?
Yeah. And what was funny about this one in particular is this guy gave it to his kid and said, it's a gift. Here's just some money I'm gifting to you. And it wasn't until later the kid found out that it's really all the child support that mom should have been getting for all these years. But see, the flip side of this, I'll try to be even here. I don't know where the heck this mother was this whole time, why she just allowed this money not to be paid. So you kind of really can't cry about it if you let it go on for 12 years and didn't get any of this money. It sounds like it was a bunch of money too. It's like more than $10,000.
As a skeptic, I kind of think where the mother was. It was an internet post meant to get an outrage. Who knows if it was fictional or not. Having said that, it's always interesting to talk about the legalities and all the ins and outs of things like this. Speaking of which, is it legal to withhold child support and then just give it to the kid as a lump? Like, can I get in trouble for doing that if I'm like a spiteful ex?
Yeah, in fact, you can't even give like the check to your kid. Like some people just try to do that. They try to give, their $100 a week to their kid instead of the parent. And that's again not okay. I mean, there are sometimes that's allowed, particularly if the kids are a little bit older, maybe like in like late high school years or college or something where you're giving the money to the kid instead of the parent, but that's usually because there was an agreement to do that. You can't do that. These arrears have just grown and grown and grown. And what's interesting is even in this situation, mom could go back and collect on the arrears because the arrears, they'll last forever. It's like a debt that just sits around and just stays there forever. But I will tell you what probably happened is there probably is a lien against the father for all of this money. But mom, again, still has to get off her butt and go and enforce it.
I know every jurisdiction's different between states, provinces, countries, but generally speaking, why do courts require that child support be paid to the custodial parent? And why can't I just give little Timmy his check directly?
Because the custodial parent's the one that's really mounting all of these expenses. And I mean, really, if you think about it, child support, everyone paying it thinks it's way too much. Everyone receiving it's like it's not even close to the amount of money it costs to raise a kid. Because really, these numbers were put together by these fancy economists many years ago, where they decided how much it costs to raise a kid, but it's really so unique to every family that really we need to make sure that kids have those good houses, they have the right clothes, they've got school supplies, they have school lunch, they have all those things. And if we don't require child support to be paid, there are so many people that just won't pay. So we kind of got in a situation where you have to compel people to do it, otherwise they're not going to do it.
I remember when I was getting divorced, my grandfather, may he rest in peace, gave me some sage-like wisdom. He said, an agreement where both parties are unhappy about the finances is a good agreement. And I feel like that's probably true about divorce too. A child support agreement in which both the person giving and receiving are a little bit unhappy about the amount in equal proportions is probably a decent agreement.
That's what every judge will say. If you're both off while you're leaving or you're both equally happy, then it's probably a good agreement. Other than that, if someone's really getting a good deal, that's just going to cause problems later on. It's stuff like this. If the father thought they got really hosed and screwed, then they're probably more likely going to try to control the money and not withhold payments and do games like you're seeing in this particular circumstance.
Let's talk about this particular circumstance a little more. The online sympathy was a little bit split. A lot of people sided with the dad, saying it was a smart way to support the child. A lot of people was like, this is awful. You're basically impoverishing your ex and forcing raising the kid on the ex without helping at all. Were you surprised by the varied opinions on this one?
No, there are just people out there that if they're forced to pay something, they think it's the greatest travesty that's ever existed, that there should never be child support. It's probably the same people out there that will rail against like paying taxes and paying anything. There's people out there that just don't understand how in the world could a government entity require me to give money to my ex-spouse? Like, how could they possibly do that? And it's even worse with alimony. I mean, child support, at least there's a child involved, but it's even worse with alimony where people really get off. But child support, let me tell you something, David, is mostly done by a calculator. So there's a lot less wrangling over what that number is. And in most jurisdictions across the country and many other countries, there's just a formula. It's like, here's how much you make, here's how much I make, here's how many kids we have, and bam, there's the number. And there's really nothing to argue about because there's a calculator that came up with the number.
I know there's people out there that will always be sad about paying things, and I agree that, like, okay, pay your taxes and shut up. But for landlord security deposits, those should always be returned. I'm totally derailing here. What would you tell the kid in this scenario? The kid who just turned 18 or just became of legal age and just got this windfall and is probably really excited about getting this money. Would you say, like, actually that's mom's money? Like, would you say you can't accept it? What would you advise the kid?
Well, what's interesting is dad might have had an obligation for college anyway, and that's the other thing. He may have already had an obligation to give the kid some money. But what I would tell this kid is tell your mom to go and get more money from dad. Like, tell her to go and get more money. I wouldn't give the money back. I mean, particularly if it's already been spent. I mean, where's it going to come from? I mean, this kid spent the money going to college, paying for things the way this kid should have. And let me tell you something. Mom, I don't think mom's ever going to go after the the dad for money if she ever does. But if she really wants it, go, and she's going to get it from him.
All right, and you know where to get it. It starts in a lawyer's office, I suppose. John Nachlinger is a divorce attorney. John, thanks for talking to me on the show.
No problem.
Woo, that is the end of the last show. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, we are available as a podcast. And by we, I mean this show. Just head to www.lastshow.pizza. That's .pizza, not .com. And there you can find out details, including how to subscribe. And I'd like it if you did. But I'm not your mother. I can't tell you what to do. I am David Cooper, and this is, well, as always, it's definitely not the first show. We'll be back tomorrow night.
Big Brother is back.
Let's freaking go!
This summer, the game gets hotter, the alliances get trickier, and the blind sides, brutal.
Just a roller coaster of backstabbing and craziness.
New house guests, new twists, same epic drama.
Bro, I'm gunning for you. You're my #1 target.
Who can you trust when everyone's watching?
Game on, baby.
Big Brother. New season Thursday, July 10th on Global. Stream on Stack TV.